Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Sensible Truth on the Medlock Post. This is episode 2. This is where we lift, inspire, encourage, and empower. Yes, this is a continuation from yesterday on seeking sensible truth. Now, I'm your host, Richard G. Medlock, and uh, we have this new format. We're changed up. We're just combined sensible truth and the Medlock Post, and we hope it's for the better and that it does influence your lives. We do inspire and lift you, encourage, empower you to do better things. Yesterday, on episode 1, we started with seeking sensible truth and went through a lot of steps to help you find a way to overcome things. Now, let me show you this quote. And this is an interesting quote by Voltaire because opinions have caused more ills than the plague or earthquakes on this little globe of ours. Well, you know, um, I know I laugh, but let's look at that. Opinions, they're a dime a dozen. Okay, well, they might be $1 a dozen now with inflation, but they're a dime a dozen. They're just opinions. And we talked about that yesterday, opinions versus facts. Everybody has an opinion, but is it fact? So um, there's a saying that, 10,000 opinions doesn't create the truth. I mentioned that yesterday. Man is here to find truth, discover truth, not create it. So that's where we are today. We want to pick it up here where we left off. So we want to discuss seeking learning through study and faith. Now, this could be a path to divine truth and transformation. Because the Lord himself, and I'm speaking from a Christian basis here, the Lord himself invited us to seek learning even by study and also by faith. Now, that's a profound exhortation that intertwines intellectual pursuit with spiritual devotion. Now, we can pursue a lot of intellectual things, but is it right or is it wrong? And we're finding in the world today a lot of wrong intellectual things are being taught. And we call it being deceived. So it reflects the divine understanding that truth is not merely a collection of opinions, of facts, of our ideas, or a collection of facts or ideas, but a harmonious blend of knowledge and faith that leads to enlightenment, enlightenment, transformation, and alignment with eternal principles. God's principles, the Creator's law, the natural law. We talked about that about Cicero discussing the natural law, Creator's law, and it can't be changed. So this dual approach underscores the necessity of both rigorous inquiry and humble trust, guiding seekers toward deeper understanding and spiritual fulfillment. Now, rigorous inquiry, it does take a lot of work. And it also humble trust, not only in ourselves, but in God. Now, let's look at a few things. The interplay of study and faith. Study represents the disciplined pursuit of truth through observation, reasoning, and reflection. Disciplined pursuit of truth, observation, reasoning, and reflection. It calls upon the human intellect to examine history, doctrine, practices, and the vast array of knowledge available to us. Now, I want to stop right there because history, doctrine, practices, as the founding fathers, a lot of them self-educated. They read Cicero and Aristotle and Plato and Blackstone and others that John Locke, that they learned history, doctrine, practices, and other knowledges that they could help put together and form this country, being inspired by a loving creator. We can do the same thing, but we've got to draw from a vast array of things. However, study alone can sometimes leave us grounded in skepticism or uncertainty, as human understanding is inherently limited. Faith complements study by opening the heart to divine guidance and illuminating truths that surpass our finite comprehension. The Lord tells us, you study, you seek truth with faith, I'll guide you to it. I'll wake you up to it. I'll let you know when you find truth. Now, faith is not blind belief. Rather, it is a conscious trust in Christ and his promises. It invites divine assistance into our quest for understanding, enabling us to discern eternal truths and apply them to our lives. Together, study and faith form a balanced approach, one that uses intellectual tools to explore questions while relying on spiritual insights to interpret and integrate answers. The spiritual significance of seeking learning. The process of seeking learning through study and faith is deeply spiritual and transformative. It reflects obedience to God's command to grow in knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. By approaching learning as both an intellectual and a spiritual endeavor, individuals honor the divine gifts of reason and revelation. Reason, we're going to go into reason in a little bit. Reason and revelation. The Lord will reveal to us through the Spirit truth. And we use our reasoning to accept that. Now, this dual pursuit fosters humility as we recognize the need for God's guidance and help and support in uncovering truths that transcend human limitations. Embracing divine truth fortifies us against the adversary's attempts to lead us astray. The world is often saturated with confusion, deception, and moral ambiguity. Now, that's an understatement, I know. But in today's world, confusion, deception, and moral ambiguity is everywhere. We have to see through the deception, and we do that with God's help. By grounding ourselves in eternal truths revealed through study and faith, we gain clarity and strength to resist sin, error, and deceit. This alignment with divine principles nurtures personal integrity and fosters a life anchored in righteousness. The Lord told us many will be deceived, and we see that in the world. Many will be deceived. So the practical application of study and faith. In practice, seeking learning involves cultivating habits of study while nurturing faith. For example, Excuse me. When faced with questions about history, doctrine, or practices, individuals can begin by identifying reliable sources such as scriptures, prophetic teachings, and scholarly works that align with eternal principles. This is exactly, ladies and gentlemen, what I just said, what the founding fathers did. Most of them were self-educated. They read the Plato's and Aristotle's and Socrates and Cicero's and John Locke and Blackstone and others to come to this understanding of history, doctrine, and practices, what was good and what was bad. They also studied the Bible and understood the principles that it takes to be worthy to receive revelation and blessings from God, to be a virtuous person leading to a virtuous society. This is what America was founded on. Now, study requires diligence, critical thinking, and a commitment to verify sources to ensure accuracy and authenticity. It does not require emotions. Oh, that sounds good. That feels good. I think I'll go with that today. Doesn't require that. Reason does not require that. Faith, on the other hand, requires prayer and trust in God. It evokes asking for divine guidance, listening to promptings of the Spirit, and exercising patience as answers unfold. Faith helps us approach study with an open heart, ready to embrace truths that may challenge preconceived notions or require personal transformation. As we learn, we grow. This approach is particularly powerful in navigating complex or controversial topics. Instead of succumbing to doubt or cynicism, seekers can use study and faith as tools to explore these topics with integrity and hope. By combining intellectual rigor with spiritual reliance, they ensure that their pursuit of truth is both comprehensive and inspired. Now, I'm going to skip ahead here because I guess I put it in the wrong place. The transformative impact of embracing divine truth. This one here on the bottom. Embracing divine truth is not merely an intellectual exercise. It is a journey of transformation. As we commit ourselves to learning through study and faith, we experience growth in wisdom, character, and spiritual maturity. In essence, ladies and gentlemen, as we embrace eternal truths, sensible truths, as our spirits grow, as our wisdom grows, as our reasoning becomes stronger, our character becomes more forceful to overcome deception, our behavior changes. Through study and faith, individuals deepen their relationship with Christ, developing greater trust in His teachings and promises. This strengthened faith becomes a source of resilience and hope, enabling them to navigate challenges with grace. Now, I'll go back up to here. Fostering moral clarity. Divine truth serves as a moral compass, guiding individuals to make decisions that honor God's principles of justice, equality, and love. This moral clarity helps you and I reject sin and embrace righteousness in both personal and societal context. Think about that for a minute. Reject sin and embrace righteousness in both personal and societal contexts. A lot of society, or there's society out there that wants us to embrace their ideology that there is no God, sin doesn't matter, do what you want to do. And that's not true. That's Satan working away. Promoting unity and understanding. Seeking learning encourages constructive dialogue and mutual respect. It fosters empathy and understanding, allowing individuals to appreciate diverse perspectives while remaining grounded in eternal truths, contributing to the greater good. Now, I know that's a phrase a lot of people use. But when we become a virtuous person, when we become more in tune with eternal, sensible truth, it is contributing to the sensible or to the greater good. By aligning your actions with divine truth, individuals become agents of positive change. Whether through advocacy, service, or leadership, you can inspire others to seek truth and contribute to a harmonious and equitable world. Now, I want to move forward. Man's power to reason. God was given this great gift. No other creature on earth was given the power to reason. He gave it to us to use wisely. So the power to reason offers a compelling lens through which to view sensible truth as a harmonious convergence of rational inquiry and moral clarity. According to some philosophers, including Ayn Rand, reason is humanity's defining attribute, our capacity to think, choose, and act based on objective reality. Now, yesterday we talked objective, subjective. Subjective, it's not facts, it's emotions, it's feelings. Objective comes from facts, what we see as truth, what we see as false. This principle aligns with the idea that sensible truth is not merely dedicated by divine revelation, but is accessible through thoughtful reflection and purposeful exploration. You ever heard the phrase ponder the scriptures? You read some verses, you stop and ponder them, analyze them, reflect on them, then let the Spirit teach you. In the context of sensible truth, reason serves as the scaffolding upon which divine truth is understood and applied. When you and I employ our rational faculties to decipher moral and ethical dilemmas, we actively engage with eternal principles in a way that transcends blind truth. This integration of reason and spirituality empowers us to embrace truth as a living, actionable guide rather than an abstract idea. I'm getting behind here. Additionally, the reliance on reason complements the pursuit of knowledge through faith, emphasizing that spiritual insights can coexist with intellectual rigor. By exercising reason, individuals contribute to moral clarity and societal harmony, breaking free from the constraints of drama or dogma or uncritical acceptance of norms. Uncritical. You can't question this. How many times have we heard this? How many times have we heard this? Let me put these up. Whoops. Rational inquiry drives them to interrogate their choices and drives you and I to interrogate our choices, weigh the consequences, and uphold justice, equality, and love through deliberate action. And Ayn Rand's view, she said, or her thinking was this: reason as a tool for achieving individual excellence. But when applied to sensible truth, it becomes a channel for collective betterment, a thoughtful, unified pursuit of righteousness and understanding. In this synthesis of faith and reason, sensible truth emerges as a dynamic force marrying the intellectual with the spiritual. It inspires not only personal growth, but also a commitment to serve the greater good, illuminating, being a light, let your light shine, a path where hope, wisdom, and authenticity are achieved through deliberate and reasoned engagement with both eternal truths and realities of human existence. Now, our conclusion. The Lord's call to seek learning through study and faith is a sacred invitation to grow in knowledge, wisdom, and spiritual insight. It reminds us that truth is not a static concept, but a dynamic journey of discovery and transformation. By combining intellectual inquiry with spiritual trust, we honor God's eternal principles and cultivate a life of purpose, authenticity, and alignment with His divine will. In this sacred trust, or in this sacred pursuit, we not only uncover truths that guide our decisions, but also strengthen our relationship with Christ, ultimately embracing a life illuminated by hope, wisdom, and righteousness. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I hope with faith that you will take episode 1 and episode 2 of Sensible Truth on the Medlock Post and study it. That it will lift, inspire, encourage, and empower you. We need this in the world today. There are a lot of challenges before us. We're sitting here watching a war going on right now in the Middle East. I think we're pretty sure who's going to win that. But these wars are not going to cease. We're in a time that we need to prepare ourselves, our families, and the world for the second coming of Jesus Christ. That's where we are. And the closer we get to truth, eternal truth, the more peace, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have in our hearts and in our families. And I pray that you can understand this and that you can apply these things to your lives. So that's our message today on Sensible Truth on the Medlock Post. And we hope that you have a wonderful rest of the day or night whenever you listen to this. But we're here to support and encourage and do everything we can to help you become better people. Have a good day. This is Richard G. Medlock signing off.